Our story today is all about shapes and how the forces of electromagnetism left these shapes as recognizable surface features in the crust of the Earth in the apocalypse. There are 5 basic shapes that we're going to look at, and all of them can be found right here in Alaska at the northern end of the Pacific Ocean. They are the S shape of the hysteresis loop, the inverted S of an inverted hysteresis loop, the triangle of the delta ground of a circuit, the circle of the induction motor rotating around the Delta-Wye transformer, and the square of the 4-part circuit of Dr. Leon Chua's chaos circuit. We're going to explore these formations here in Alaska, but you can go check out all of these shapes across the globe yourself on Google Earth. And when you do, you will agree that no one's catastrophism work touches the discoveries being made at Dr. Stinky McDougal's lab. The first shape is the S-curve of the hysteresis loop, which is found here running down the middle of the mountains known as the Alaskan Range, and it is the force that formed the now water-filled basin called College Fjord and Port Wells. These 2 straight lines exist as a surface representation of these 2 lines highlighted on the Delta-Wye transformer here. Where the lines stop, the water stops, in both the north and the south. At the northern node of the hysteresis loop, we find the area of peak magnetization and flux density as shown in the diagram. First, just like the diagram, we can put a circle in the middle here like an eyeball, and this occurs when a field of induction is created. Induction always creates a round surface feature, which we will see again and again and again. The cause for this circle of induction is a triangle, a delta ground that formed just north of it that formed Mount Gilbert Lewis, recognizable by the 3 crests of the mountain, which match the 3 arms of resistance of the delta triangle perfectly. This field at the bottom of the resistance exists because of the field of inductance. Inductance, resistance. Like wires in a radio, there are 3 nodes to this delta ground, one of which formed the basin on the north side. The second connects to this 4-sided pyramid shape right here called Mount Elusive, and a third node that connects to this 4-sided mountain called Mount Valhalla. Mount Elusive and Mount Valhalla represent Dr. Leon Chua's chaos circuit, and a chaos circuit is used to manage large and chaotic electrical events. And the apocalypse was the king of large and chaotic electrical events. It did this by managing the 4 basic functions of electromagnetism, which are current, voltage, charge, and flux. And these 4 crests are the 4 dividing lines to the current, voltage, charge, and flux. Chua proposed the chaos circuit when he realized that the 4 parts of electromagnetism created 4 functional parts of an electrical circuit. Current and flux form inductance. Current and voltage form resistance. Voltage and charge form capacitance, and charge and flux form memristance, also known as memory resistance. The northern node of the delta connects to the charge of the chaos circuit that forms Mount Valhalla. We see that this node here forms the ball of induction that is responsible for this circular surface feature found under the circuit at the inductor portion of the chaos circuit. Inductance is one of the easiest ways to establish the orientation of a circuit. It will always form a circle. We will return to this area shortly. When we follow the hysteresis loop formation south, we see that it finishes by forming the mountain called Isthmus Peak, which is bordered by the Kings River and boasts 2 right angles, leading to our 3rd square of the chaos circuit. If the top is managing current and flux, then the bottom is managing voltage and charge. Just as the induction leaves a circular impression, resistance leaves a square recess, as seen here on the north side of Isthmus Peak. This square notch is our indication of the circuit orientation at the south, which means that opposite the resistor, we find the memristor, and these 2 lobes on the south side of the mountain represent the double scroll pattern of the memristor. Because this represents resistance in the circuit, the ball of inductance created by the inductor isn't quite as easily seen, but it's right here where it should be on the west side. To the right is the capacitor, and capacitors create triangles, like the one we see found north at Mount Gilbert Lewis. This capacitor here represents the three peaks in the east side: resistor, memristor, inductor, capacitor. The exceptionally high flux density of this hysteresis loop, which was created in the apocalypse, still impacts the weather to this day, which can be seen in the fact that the Chugach Mountains, which act like a cathode pulling energy to it, has the highest snowfall total in the world. More snow falls here than anywhere else on the globe, and the reason is that this hysteresis loop, which formed in the apocalypse, is still affecting weather today. Next, we're going to look at a giant triangle, which represents the ground of a delta, much like Mount Gilbert Lewis, except this one spans a vast area. The three junctions begin with Mount Einstein in the north, which is first and foremost another triangle. Then we can surround it with a circle of induction. We can lay the Delta-Wye over the site for more definition and see the electrical nodes that it forms in the region. This is the northern node of the delta. Because the deltas are defined by their symmetry, we can scale this out and locate the other two corners, which the second one is found here in Orca Bay. Once again, identifiable by the round junction created through induction and left visible in the surface of the Earth. There's a triangle left in the middle of it. Now, by simply moving directly west at roughly 270 degrees, we find this mountain surrounded by Derrickson Bay and Blue Fjord, forming a circle around another triangle. These are the three corner ground junctions of the delta. One formed land and a mountain, one formed completely at sea level, and one formed land surrounded by water, each representing their own dynamic position within the circuit, and each a reflection of the others. Now that we have the delta in place, the western hysteresis can be seen much more clearly as it aligns with the eastern hysteresis. However, like the three different nodes of the delta, the inverted hysteresis created its own surface impressions, which run opposite the standard hysteresis. Where the hysteresis formed a water channel in the west, the inverted hysteresis formed mountains in the east. One cool feature of the hysteresis is found at the bottom, where it formed a tree-like shape in the south. And in the north, the surface curves, but it did not leave as defined an induction ball. When these shapes are overlaid by the diagrams of the circuit, they become very recognizable as the cause of the surface formation. Having identified the forward and backward S of the hysteresis and the inverted hysteresis, as well as the triangle of the delta, overlaying the whole Delta-Wye circuit to the region now makes seeing the surface impressions fairly obvious. Because electromagnetism is fractal, the shapes continue to scale up. There is another Delta-Wye over the larger region here, and the hysteresis loops on the west become very clear to the naked eye. Likewise, we can go one even bigger, because the Delta-Wye is what forms this entire region of not only North America's Alaska, but the Kamchatka Peninsula of Asia. But by identifying this, we can also see that we can go one bigger, but you have to move to a map to see the larger fractal iteration, which formed the hysteresis on the east coast of Asia and the inverted hysteresis of North America. The southern end of the inverted hysteresis is what formed the Lesser Antilles Islands. But we can go even one bigger, because in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, we find a series of islands known as the Polynesian Triangle. The islands themselves form the delta of the Delta-Wye. This triangle is rooted in the southeast by Easter Island, more correctly known as Rapa Nui, or Big Rapa as the indigenous people called it. This island itself forms a Delta-Wye, and this entire end of the island is called Poiki, representing the global neutral point in the entire global electric circuit. GPS measurements here on this part of the island are skewed due to the electromagnetic field, and researchers can't get accurate readings just in this very specific small pocket of the island. When you draw a line straight north from this point, which is 109.15 degrees of longitude, you find it splits the formations of Yellowstone and the Bighorn Basin. This line is the dividing line globally for the anode and cathode of the global electric circuit that formed. It's a lot to take in, but the good news is that you don't have to rely on made-up ley lines. There is an electrical circuit in the crust, and now you know more about that electrical circuit than any geologist in the world. Leave me a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe to the latest cutting-edge catastrophism. No one in the world can touch the discoveries of Dr. Stinky McDougal's lab. Peace out, everyone.